The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selena Mackenzie.
Now, when Rebecca Coxon uploaded her genetic data to an ancestry website, she had no idea that it would start a chain reaction. The secrets revealed by her genes would alter Rebecca's understanding of identity and family forever, beginning with the shocking discovery that her father was not biologically related to her. Well, she joins us now to tell us all about it from her book, Inconceivable. Welcome to the show, Rebecca.
Hi there, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Wow, what a shock it must have been for you.
Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting. I actually logged on while I was at work on my lunch break one day and couldn't believe it. I signed up to a DNA website because, ironically, my dad was adopted and I wanted to know more about his ancestry, but ended up discovering that he wasn't biologically related to me through discovering that I had a half-sister on the paternal side. That's who I matched with that day at work. And I did what most people do, and I immediately rang my mum and said, "What's going on here?" And initially she sort of tried to deny it and just pretend that she didn't know anything about it. But obviously, yeah, I went home a few days later and sort of confronted my parents about it, and they told me the truth, that they'd been keeping a secret for nearly 3 decades.
And if you don't mind me asking, was your mother biologically your mother?
Yes, yeah. Right. So both my parents were what you would describe as medically infertile. And so my mum had endometriosis, which I've also got. So they had to go down the route of IVF, which I did know. I knew that when I was a teenager. But they could sort of fix her infertility, but not my dad's. So they ended up going down the sperm donor route, which was the only option at the time.
And how does it work? I mean, you probably don't want to, but if you wanted to find your biological dad, is that possible?
Yeah, so I actually interviewed him for the book.
Wow.
So about a year later, he actually coincidentally signed up to the same ancestry website and was very open to talking to me and the other half siblings that I'd connected with as well, including twins in Russia, who one of whom I've met and is coming to the book launch tomorrow. Oh. So I know who he is, and that was all it really was for me. You know, it was a big question mark. You know, when you suddenly have this blank space where you thought your father was. So I he answered questions about, health history and things like that. But, I've got a dad who I love very, very much. So it wasn't about filling any sort of, father-sized hole in my life. Yeah. But it also meant that I decided, as a result of learning about my own conception, I decided to donate my own eggs. And I needed to ask him about his paternal family history in order to be able to do that. So he helped me with that as well.
Yeah, at the end of the day, your father is your father, the one that's brought you up, that's been there since you were born, that is your father. Yeah. But was it a difficult conversation to have with him? Did you feel differently? Did he feel differently?
It was. And, my dad was born in 1950, and doesn't talk about his emotions very much. So when he found out that I knew, he did cry, and it was difficult for him. I'm actually one of triplets, and we have an older brother as well. So it was a funny situation. So on that day, I felt like I'd upset them so much when I found out that we actually decided not to tell my siblings, and I didn't tell them for 3 years. So I kept that secret, and then just thought, you know what, I shouldn't be ashamed of this. And I think we should actually celebrate that this technology was available, and our family are so happy and loving. And, we are one of those happy families, and there's plenty of people who are genetically related who aren't happy. So let's talk about this. I decided to tell my siblings, and I think it's just made us all stronger, and it's just better not to have any secrets.
Yeah, for sure. So these ancestry websites, I mean, I've never actually done them, and I know you can go on some and trace your family tree and things. So this is literally, you're sending a sample of your DNA.
Yeah, so you basically spit into a little test tube, so that they have your saliva, and then they send it off to a lab, and you find out your ancestry. So sort of, it's interesting to see where your ancestors were from, what part of the world, and you connect with DNA relatives. And you can also find out your health, like your predisposition to certain illnesses. It's not for everyone. I'm a very curious person. I'm a journalist and documentary maker. So for me, it was kind of I'd love to know more about that kind of thing. But I definitely did get more than I bargained for. So I would caution anyone else who's looking for. Yeah.
And probably wish you hadn't have opened it at work.
Yeah, I don't think I got much work done the rest of that day, no.
And did your mum and dad know that you were doing this? I mean, because if they had have done, I'd have thought that they would have quickly told you something.
So I did actually tell my mum, and I write about this in the book, and she did gently warn me away from it. But she, obviously, if she'd have made a big deal of it, it would have been obvious. But that could have obviously been an opportunity for them to tell me, but I think they were just hedging their bets. And I said, I'm thinking about doing this DNA website. And she said, oh, are you sure? Like, insurance companies might hold something against you in the future, or you might find out something you didn't wish you knew. And I had no idea what she was talking about. I thought, she was just,
being overprotective, yeah.
Exactly. And actually, for the first 3 years, there were no close DNA relatives. So they were probably thinking, phew, it's all still a secret. But then, slowly some half siblings started signing up.
Isn't it incredible? DNA, what you can do now, and these websites, they make it so easy.
I think it's crazy because, 34 years ago when I was conceived, they had no idea that you couldn't sequence your own DNA. Never mind upload it to the internet, this, ether of a universal place where everyone can connect. So I also for the book interview the embryologist who made me and the doctor who treated my parents, both of whom were involved in the first IVF birth of Louise Brown in 1978.
Yeah.
And they never thought anyone would be able to find out who their donors were. Donors were anonymous back then. They're not anymore. And they couldn't conceive of anybody being able to connect in the future.
And were like the doctor who, who was there at your birth, were these people easy to find?
Yeah, one of them was Professor Simon Fischel has written a book. He's one of the leading embryologists in the world. He pioneered lots of IVF techniques. So I bought his book, discovered that he'd actually written about my Russian half siblings in there.
Wow.
And I found his email very easily and asked him if he was up for having a chat, and he said yes. And then he put me in touch with the other doctor who treated my parents back then. So I went over to his house. He's in his late 80s now, and I think he's the only person who's still alive who was there at the birth of Louise Brown, apart from Louise herself.
Yeah, is she that name comes straight back to me. I remember that. Is she still around, Louise Brown?
Yeah, me and my sister met her at an event a couple of years ago. They did I don't know if you know, there's been a bit of a kind of flurry of things about IVF at the moment. There was that film Joy on Netflix, and there was a play at Bristol Old Vic a couple of years ago, and she went to that and did a Q&A. So me and my sister got a photo with her. Yeah, she's still very much, every time there's an anniversary, she's in the media again.
Yeah, it's incredible. And you mentioned about donating your eggs. Do you have, or are you considering having your own children?
I have. I've got a 6-month-old now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. My partner's just gone on for a walk with him. So the book also follows my sort of journey with infertility. So after I donated my eggs, me and my ex-partner then decided to start trying ourselves. Nothing happened. We were referred for IVF, and unfortunately he changed his mind at the last minute, a couple of days before the egg collection. So I was sort of left abandoned. We broke up, and it was absolutely devastating. But fast forward 2 or 3 years, and I'm with somebody new who's wonderful. We did also struggle to get pregnant for a while, but coincidentally, I fell pregnant naturally the week I handed in the book manuscript. So
that's a great
the
story.
universe has funny timing sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've got a gorgeous little boy now.
Oh, congratulations. And it just makes you think, if you hadn't have found out this, if you hadn't have gone on the Ancestry site, you could have had triplets and wondered why.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. It's our, because we were IVF, back then they used to put in lots of eggs because they weren't very good at freezing them. So they're not hereditary. But every time I struggle to look after or I'm sleep deprived because of my 6-month-old, I do think about my mum and dad having 4 under 5s at once.
Oh, my goodness.
How they did it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? So what made you decide to turn this very personal journey into a book?
I think, to be honest, I felt a little bit lost when I found out this information. I didn't feel like I had many people to talk to about it. And it's basically the book that I would have wanted to have read when I discovered my own family secret. And I can, even today, we've come a long way in terms of IVF being an acceptable, way to create a family. But there's still a lot of stigma out there. Donor conception is still steeped in a lot of shame. I've been in the media quite a lot this week, and there's still silly comments from people saying that it's like adultery and it's not.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, or it's, just adopt, or some people aren't meant to have children. And I just think you're basically telling me that I shouldn't exist, and that's not right.
No.
That right. So, we couldn't be happier as a family. And I think, I've donated my own eggs because I think it's a beautiful thing to do. I know lots of people who struggled with infertility. I just wanted other people to feel a bit more seen and understood in the way that I would have wanted to back then. So, yeah, that's why I've written the book.
Yeah, these people should put themselves in other people's shoes, particularly women who can't have children. It can be devastating. You desperately want your own child. So it's easy for them to say, but not so easy for some of these poor women out there.
Absolutely. And I think, infertility is really common. 1 in 6 couples will experience it throughout their lifetime. It's we're creating families in all kinds of ways. Same-sex couples have to go down the fertility treatment route. So, and I've got lots of friends. Coincidentally, when I became a mum myself, some of the other mums in my local area I made friends with and discovered that 2 of them, one of them was sperm donor conceived, one of them was egg donor conceived, and for their children, and then the other one was sperm donor conceived themselves, like me. So you just never know, and I think we just need to accept that it's a normal, happy way to create a family, and we're all just normal people wanting to live normal lives. Yeah,
people say things like, we didn't used to do this in the old days, but we didn't used to be able to save people with cancer. We didn't used to be able to do heart transplants. There's so many things that we didn't used to be able to do that we can do now, and we should celebrate it.
Exactly. And that's what the book is. It's absolutely a celebration of families in different forms. I look back through history as well. And, in the context of history, infertility has been around forever, as far back as the Bible. Rebecca in the Bible was, a barren woman. I look back at Marilyn Monroe and Frida Kahlo and famous figures like that who were struggling with infertility or endometriosis. And I think it just helps to make it feel more like a familiar, relatable. If you don't know somebody personally or you haven't struggled to have your own children, then, me and my family can seem just kind of like nothing to do with you. But actually, if you look back through history, there's people that and are probably fans of that have struggled with it as well.
So, for sure. For sure. Well, if our listeners want to buy the book, we're selling it right now on our website, tre.radio. Simply click on the bookshop banner and you can click on the link there and buy it. It's called Inconceivable, a beautiful and intimate new memoir about family secrets and love by Rebecca Coxon. And it's out tomorrow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Lovely to speak.
Do you have a website as well, Rebecca, so people can find out more?
Yeah, it's RebeccaCoxon.com or Rebecca Coxon on Instagram.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I'm sure your partner will be back soon with your little boy, so I'll let you go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.